Behind every unforgettable dish, every tantalizing bite, there are techniques. Techniques so powerful yet so subtly wielded by the masters of the kitchen. Yes, being a chef goes beyond lighting a stove and rubbing sauce on that chicken. There's a secret that separates the amateurs from the professionals. In this video, I'll be showing you the two most important things every professional chef should know about cooking. Let's dive right in. The first magic up every great chef's sleeves is controlling heat. I know you think this is easy, but being able to control heat is a game changer. The way heat is applied determines if it'll turn out crispy, tender, or tough. That's why perfectly cooked meat is juicy and tender. Vegetables are crisp yet cooked through. And grains are perfectly fluffy or al dente. Mastery of heating techniques such as searing, simmering, boiling, baking, and roasting requires you to understand how to adjust and control heat. This versatility allows chefs to knock up a wide range of recipes and cuisines just the way you like it. There are only two techniques of heat. First is dry heat. This is the cooking technique where the chef transfers heat to the food item without using extra moisture. It's a technique you use when you're grilling your barbecue in your backyard, and the neighbor next door can't resist the oozing aroma. Now we're going to explore the different methods of dry heat cooking. Grill. Grilling is all about cooking your food over an open flame or hot coal, infusing it with that distinct smoky flavor. Of course, grilling isn't limited to just meat. You can grill vegetables, fruits, and even desserts. Grilled corn on the cob, zucchini, pineapple, and peaches are just a few mouth-watering examples of the magic you can perform on the grill. Just don't leave the neighbors begging for a bite. Roasting. Roasting is another common dry heat cooking method and quite old too. Most people often mistake this for grilling, but they are certainly not the same. A type of this method is called oven roasting. Oven roasting is probably the most popular among many chefs. You simply place your meat or veggies on a rack or in a shallow pan, slide it in a preheated oven, and let the dry heat work or do its thing. And the result? A lovely, savory meat, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Ready for your fork and knife. Baking. The third type of dry heat cooking is baking. Among all the types of dry heat techniques, baking seems to be the hardest. Timing is so important. Overbaking or underbaking, even by a few minutes, can ruin a recipe. Unlike stovetop cooking, where you can often adjust and taste as you go, baking offers no such luxury. Once it's in the oven, you can't adjust the texture or doneness in the same way. And then there's sautéing. Does the word sound strange? Alright, let's break it down. Have you ever fried your food in a small amount of oil while you toss the ingredients around in your frying pan? That, my friend, is what we call sautéing. Sautéing is done in an open pan, such as a frying pan or sauté pan on the stovetop, and the result is rich flavors and textures in the food. Deep frying. Nothing is more satisfying than a bite of well-fried, crispy chicken. Deep frying involves fully submerging your food in a pan full of oil, watching it drown, and begging for one last breath of life. Just kidding. Anyways, most people think deep frying is a wet cooking technique. But that's not the case, since it doesn't involve you adding water to your recipe. When your food hits the hot oil, the moisture from the surface of the food quickly turns into steam, which is the bubbles you see in the oil. A few minutes later, the surface of your food eventually dries up and turns into crispy crust. There's also pan frying. Unlike deep frying, pan frying uses very little cooking oil to prepare your delicacy. Unless you end up having a tasty bird delicacy, this method is an effective way to add rich flavor to your food and retain its moisture and tenderness. The next one is my favorite, broiling. Broiling uses direct heat from above to cook your food in the oven. It's kinda like an upside-down grilling. This is one of the best ways to cook thinner, leaner cuts of meat like butterfly chicken breasts, pork tenderloin medallions, strip steaks, kebabs, and vegetables. You have to try this out. Just remember that you have to control the heat or your food won't come out well. Wet heat. Now, down to the wet heat or moist heat method. As I mentioned earlier in this video, you must gain expertise and mastery in both methods of cooking to be regarded as a professional chef. So, moving on. This method of cooking simply makes use of water, liquid, or steam. Now, think of your favorite food that you prepare by cooking it in water. Pasta, mashed potatoes, broccoli, carrots, and lots more. Let's examine some types of wet heat cooking methods. Boiling. We boil stuff every day, so we know this one. Cooking food in simmering liquid, whether water, salt water, or stock, is one of the most classic preparation methods, as it gives you a more delightful taste of your favorite food. But chefs know that boiling for too long or too short a time can alter the food's texture and taste. Some nutrients, particularly vitamins and minerals that are soluble in water, can leach out into boiling water. This is where steaming comes in. Steaming literally means cooking with steam. The popular food often prepared with this method is vegetables, but you can also use it for other types of food, such as fish and Asian dumplings. All you have to do is fill a pot with a little liquid and bring it to a simmer. Then place your food in a basket, suspend it above the liquid, and cover the pot. The hot steam circulates through the pot and cooks the food really fast, leaving it tender yet done. If you've not tried this before, you might want to give it a shot. Braising. I find this one more interesting because it uniquely combines wet and dry heat methods. First, you sear your food at a high temperature to give it a nice crust. Then, a small amount of liquid is added and the temperature is turned down low, allowing it to cook for a longer period. Once the initial browning occurs, the food's flavor is heightened. There goes your tasty recipe, ready to feed your belly. Now, to the next magic trick these chefs haven't told you about: balancing flavors. Everyone who has ever cooked anything will tell you it doesn't always go as planned. Cooking can be tricky. One moment, your food is oversalted, and the next, it's just bitter for no reason. But not when a professional handles it. They know how to balance the flavors. How do they do it? First, let's talk about the basic flavors when preparing a meal. These are sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. Each flavor has its unique characteristics, and achieving a balance between them is key to creating an extraordinary dish. Sweetness. Let's start with sweetness, a flavor associated with sugar. You find this flavor in ice cream, dishes like watermelon and spelt salad, bronze salmon with orange marmalade, and lots more. This flavor can balance out other strong flavors and give whatever it is you are cooking a nice contrast. However, too much of it can overpower the other flavors, which is why you must know how to control it. Closest to this flavor is the salty flavor. Think of your favorite dessert recipes. 80% of them fall under this category. Salty flavors, usually derived from salt or certain ingredients like soy sauce, can enhance the taste of food and bring out the natural flavors of other ingredients. However, you don't want to know what salty food tastes like. But salt doesn't slap as hard as sourness. The sour flavor adds a tangy and acidic taste to your dish, one that makes you feel like you carry 1,000 ants in your mouth. You can taste this in citrus fruits, vinegar, or yogurt. Just like with sweetness and saltiness, a careful balance is needed to avoid overpowering the other flavors, or else your food will bring tears to your eyes. Speaking of flavors, most people still don't know what to do with the bitter flavor. But without it, some of your meals will be bland. Bitterness. Ingredients like dark chocolate, coffee, or certain greens like kale can bring the bitter element. In moderation, bitterness can be enjoyable, but too much can make your dish a horror. Umami. But you can never have too much of umami. People like to describe this flavor as savory or meaty, and it basically adds richness to your food. It can be found in ingredients like mushrooms, soy sauce, or Parmesan cheese. Umami acts as a flavor enhancer and can help balance out other flavors, adding a satisfying deliciousness to your dish. In the wrong hands, these 5 flavors will hide in your meal, but a good chef knows how to make every flavor shine. If you want to create the perfect harmony of flavors, start by identifying the dominant flavors in your dish and then think about how you can enhance, contrast, or balance them. One way chefs do this is to use complementary flavors. For example, if you have a sweet dish like a dessert, adding a touch of salt can help balance the sweetness and prevent it from becoming too sweet. Similarly, adding a squeeze of lemon juice to a rich and fatty dish can cut through the heaviness and provide a refreshing contrast. Another technique chefs use is layering. This means that instead of adding all the ingredients at once, you can add them gradually, tasting as you go. This allows you to adjust the balance as you build the flavors, ensuring that no single element dominates. It's okay if you don't get it right at the start, because you have time to perfect your culinary skills. And if you want to put yourself to the test, go ahead and cook up a storm. Just be sure to practice what you learned in this video. Until our next video, bon appetit!